Hi everyone. Today we are going to talk about our next topic, which is small intestine. Again, it is one of the topic of digestive system, and it is very important. So let's start. Most digestion and absorption of nutrients occurs in a long tube called the small intestine. Because of this, its structure is specially adapted for these functions. Its length alone provides a large surface area for digestion and absorption, and that area is further increased by circular folds, villi or villi, and microvilli. The small intestine begins at the pyloric sphincter of the stomach, coils through the central and inferior part of the abdominal cavity, and eventually opens into the large intestine. It averages 2.5 centimeter in diameter. Its length is about 3 meter in a living person and about 6.5 meter in a cadaver due to the loss of smooth muscle tone after death. Small intestine consists of three portions. First is the proximal part known as a duodenum. Second is the middle part known as a jejunum. And third is a distal part known as ileum. Wall of the small intestine has all the four layers as in stomach. So in this figure, this is the anterior view of the external anatomy of small intestine. So we can see the duodenum, jejunum, ileum, that is stomach at the upper part of small intestine, and that is a large intestine also. Intestinal villi and glands of small intestine. First we'll talk about the intestinal villi. Mucous membrane of small intestine is covered by minute projection called villi. The height of villi is about 1 mm and the diameter is less than 1 mm. Villi are lined by columnar cell which are called enterocytes. Each enterocyte gives rise to hair-like projections called microvilli. Villi and microvilli increase the surface area of mucous membrane by many folds. Within each villus, there is a central channel called lacteal, which opens into the lymphatic vessels. It contains blood vessels also. Crypts of Lieberkühn on intestinal glands. Crypts of Lieberkühn or intestinal glands are simple tubular glands of intestine. Intestinal glands do not penetrate the muscularis mucosa of the intestinal wall, but open into the lumen of intestine between the villi. Intestinal glands are lined by columnar cells. Lining of each gland is continuous with epithelial lining of the villi. Epithelial cells lining the intestinal glands undergo division by mitosis at the faster rate. Newly formed cells push the older cells upward over the lining of villi. These cells which move to villi are called the enterocytes. Enterocytes secretes the enzymes. Old enterocytes are continuously shed into lumen along with the enzymes. Types of cells interposed between columnar cell of intestinal glands. Argentefin cells or enterochromaffin cells which secrete intrinsic factor of Castle. Second is the goblet cells which secretes mucus, and third is the Paneth cells which secrete the cytokines called the defensins. So this is the figure of intestinal glands and villi. You can see the goblet cells, Paneth cells, Argentefin cells. There is a zone of extrusion, zone of mitosis, and you can see the arterioles, villus, and glands. Bernard glands. In addition to intestinal glands, the first part of duodenum contains some mucus glands, which are called the Berner glands. These glands penetrate muscularis mucosa and extends up to submucous coat of the intestinal wall. Berner glands open into the lumen of intestine directly. Berner glands secretes mucus and traces of enzymes. Now we'll see the properties and composition of succus entericus. Secretion from small intestine is called the succus entericus. So in exam generally they asked about write down the properties and composition of succus entericus. So you should have to have the idea that the secretion of small intestine is called the succus entericus. Properties of succus entericus. Volume is 1800 ml per day. Reaction is alkaline and pH is 8.3. Composition of succus entericus. Succus entericus contains water, which is 99.5%, and solids, which are 0.5%. Solids include organic and inorganic substances. Bicarbonate concentration is slightly high in succus entericus. So through this chart we can see the organic and inorganic substances. So in organic substances there are enzymes and other organic substances. In enzymes there are proteolytic enzymes, which includes peptides, and in that there are peptidase, dipeptidase, tripeptidase, and enterokinase. Then there is amylolytic enzymes, sucrase, maltase, lactase, dextrinase, trehalase includes in amylolytic enzymes, and there is a lipolytic enzymes, which is lipase. In other organic substances there are mucus, intrinsic factor, and defensins. In inorganic substances, sodium, calcium, potassium, bicarbonate, chloride, phosphate, sulfate would be there. So basically if they ask about the composition and properties in 5 marks, so you should have to write down all these things. Amylolytic enzymes. Lactase, sucrase, maltase convert the disaccharides into 2 molecules of monosaccharides. Dextrinase converts dextrin, maltose, and maltariosine into glucose. Trehalase or trehalose glucohydrolase causes hydrolysis of trehalose and converts it into glucose. Lipolytic enzyme. Intestinal lipase acts on triglycerides and converts them into fatty acids. So in this table you can see the enzymes and their end product. Enzyme substrate and end products. Now we'll see the functions of succus entericus. First function would be digestive function. Enzymes of succus entericus acts on the partially digested food and convert them into final digestive products. Enzymes are produced and released into succus entericus by enterocytes of the villi. Proteolytic enzymes present in succus entericus are the peptidase. This peptidase convert peptidase into amino acids. Protective function. Mucus present in the succus entericus protects the intestinal wall from the acid kind, which enters the intestine from stomach. Thereby, it prevents the intestinal ulcer. Defensins secreted by Paneth cells of intestinal glands are the antimicrobial peptides. These peptides are called the natural peptide antibiotic because of this their role in the killing the phagocytosis bacteria. Activator function. Enterokinase present in intestinal juice activates trypsinogen into trypsin. Trypsin in turn activates other enzymes. Hemopoietic function. Intrinsic factor of Castle present in the intestine plays an important role in erythropoiesis. It is necessary for the absorption of vitamin B12. Hydrolytic process. Intestinal juice helps in all the enzymatic reactions of digestion. Now we'll see the functions of small intestine. Further, we were talking about the functions of succus and trachea. First function of small intestine would be mechanical function. Mixing movement of small intestine helps in thorough mixing of chyme with the digestive juice like succus and trachea, pancreatic juice and bile. Secretory function. Small intestine secretes succus and trachea, enterokinase and GI hormones. Hormonal function. Small intestine secretes many GI hormones such as secretin, cholecystokinin, etc. These hormones regulate the movement of GI tract and secretory activities of small intestine and pancreas. Digestive function. The digestive function of small intestine would be the same as succus and trachea. Activator function, hemopoietic function and hydrolytic function. That would be same as succus and trachea also. Absorptive functions. Presence of villi and microvilli in small intestine, small intestinal mucosa increases the surface area of mucosa. This facilitates the absorptive function of the intestine. Digested products of foodstuffs, proteins, carbohydrates, fats and other nutritive substances such as vitamins, minerals and water are absorbed mostly in small intestine. From the lumen of intestine, these substances pass through lacteal of villi, cross the mucosa and enter the blood directly or through lymphatics. Absorption of carbohydrate, absorption of proteins, absorption of fats and absorption of vitamins. Most of the vitamins are absorbed in upper part of small intestine and vitamin B12 is absorbed in ileum. Absorption of water soluble vitamin is faster than the fat soluble vitamins. Absorption of carbohydrate, proteins and fat would be discussed in our next chapters. Absorption of water and minerals. In small intestine, sodium is absorbed actively. It is responsible for the absorption of glucose, amino acid and other substances by means of sodium transport. Water moves in or out of the intestinal lumen until the osmotic pressure of intestinal contents become equal to the plasma. In ileum, chloride ion is actively absorbed in exchange of bicarbonate. The significance of this exchange is not known, and calcium is actively absorbed mostly in upper part of the small intestine. Regulation of secretion of succus and trachea. Secretion of succus and trachea is regulated by both nervous and hormonal mechanisms. Nervous regulation. Stimulation of parasympathetic nerves causes vasodilation and increases the secretion of succus and trachea. Stimulation of sympathetic nerves causes vasoconstriction and decreases the secretion of succus and trachea. But the role of these nerves in the regulation of intestinal secretion is physiological condition is uncertain. However, the local nervous reflexes play an important role in increasing the secretion of intestinal juice. When chyme enters the small intestine, the mucosa is stimulated by tactile stimuli or irritation, which causes the development of local nervous reflexes, which stimulate the glands of intestine. Hormonal regulation. When chyme enters the small intestine, intestinal mucosa secretes enterokinin, secretin and cholecystokinin, which promote the secretion of succus and trachea by the stimulating the intestinal glands. So this was about small intestine. So generally in exam there are questions regarding the properties and composition of succus entericus, the functions of that, and this function of small intestine. So let me know if you are having any query. Thank you.